Hi, Ruth. Hi, everyone. We're waiting for Cass to start, and we'll start in 2 minutes. Today's live is about healthy living and nutrition and working out for busy people like teachers and moms and anybody that's having difficulty bringing healthy living into their lifestyle. So if you're interested in this live, we're going to be starting in a minute. We're just getting Chas to come in and talk about it. So thanks for joining, and just give me a little bit of time for it to start. If you have any questions about this topic, you're welcome to post it. Again, the topic is about healthy living and nutrition, lifestyle living for busy people like teachers, moms, and anybody that is having struggles with having a balanced life and nutrition and healthy living. Hi, Chastity, I see you. So I'm gonna ask you to join. Hi,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good, good. Welcome. Thank you for being with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, for those of you don't know who I am, I'm gonna say a little bit about myself, and then I'll introduce you, Chastity. Okay?
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm Lissette, and I'm the owner of Everyday Montessori Education. And basically, what I do is I homeschool and I tutor all over the world, people that are homeschooling or like just want to learn about Montessori. And it started in the pandemic because a lot of people reached out to me for help, and it just kind of blew up after that. So now my passion is just really getting all types of topics from Montessori to finance to even what we're doing today, which the topic is, again, healthy living styles and how to have it in your busy schedule. Like teachers like myself and a bunch of my mamas out there that are always like struggling and they don't know how to balance. And you don't have to be a mom or a teacher, just anybody that's busy. And that's a lot of us nowadays. So I just wanted to bring this topic out for you guys because I don't think it's talked a lot in our community. It's always just about learning and about kids, but what about us? So that's why I brought in Chastity. So Chastity is my nutritionist coach, and she's been helping me since the beginning of the summer, and she's really helped me rechannel my brain on what nutrition is and what healthy living lifestyle is, and not making myself guilty for things that I used to feel guilty about. One of the biggest things that I learned through her coaching is that I didn't realize I was not eating enough, and I felt like I would fast. Basically, that's what I was doing before you, which worked well at one point. But then, like most diets for myself, what happened is it would work, and I would be like, "Yes, this is awesome!" Like the new fad, the new whatever, and then life happens. I forget about it, or I continue it, but it's it didn't continue the same way that it did in the beginning. It wasn't like this new thing for my body to get like excited about and lose the weight quickly. So I realized I wasn't eating enough, and now I'm in that still in that process, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it, and you share your own experiences of like how it works. But you really, really helped me, and I know that you can help a lot of people. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to share and how you can help any of my followers with the same process. So I'm
I
going to
love
let
that.
you introduce yourself and your whole story. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chasity Snowden. I'm the creator of the FLA movement. I have three coaches in my company and then one dietitian on staff, and we are nutrition coaches. We teach nutrition in a lot different way than most people do. We have a lot of clients on in our company, but we do it a lot different where we teach you about nutrition, but also change your mindset along the way. It's all individualized nutrition. But my story, in a nutshell, I started out about 70 pounds, 75 pounds overweight in my early 20s. I had Crohn's disease and was also diagnosed bipolar 2. I was very, very sick. A lot of anxiety and a lot of medication. Also was bulimic and anorexic. And then uh, changed my nutrition, added some supplementation that was whole food supplementation, lost the 75 pounds, went into bikini competitions, still struggled with eating disorders, but lost tons and tons of weight, but was still struggling really bad with the eating disorders. And then, but I was gorgeous on the outside, like just shredded. Everybody thought things were great, but in between here, not so good. And then found CrossFit, which was amazing for me. And then went to regionals 3 times, then went to the CrossFit Games in 2018. So when it comes to, oh, and then beat eating disorders along the way as well. Dropped those, which was nice. So when it comes to like changing your health, changing your aesthetics, and changing and going in a performance sport, I've done all of those, but all of it surrounded like changing my nutrition. It wasn't just like the working out aspect. Most nutrition coaches I've found, they haven't necessarily done it all on their own. They may have done one aspect of it, but even though I'm only 40, I've actually battled a lot of different things and went after a lot of different goals. So that's my
Yeah.
story.
One thing I want to point out that you said was that it's individualized, which is
Hmm.
basically what Montessori is in a nutshell. It's an individualized curriculum. So I love that you said that because it kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm passionate about, which is Montessori. Yeah, I see a little comment here. Chastity is the best. You have a
Oh,
fan.
Jacob.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I got some questions when I asked, do you have any questions for Chastity? And one of them was, what are the top tips or advice for someone that has zero time or energy for working out and cooking?
Okay, so the thing about working out and cooking, I tell everybody 90% of your goal is going to be food. So a lot of the people that come to me, I actually tell them not to work out to begin
Hmm.
with, if you're super busy. So
Right.
I tell them to focus on the food and to prioritize that, and let's get that in line first because there's a lot of habits you need to learn. And when you're super busy, sometimes working out doesn't fit in. So first, let's focus on the food. It's 90% of your goal anyway. And then once we get you feeling better, having energy, whatever it is individualized that we need to work on first, whether it's sleep or whatever that needs to be worked on inside your program, then we can add in working out after that. Um, when it comes to like meal prepping and stuff like that, if you don't have time, I mean, did you ask that advice for someone who has zero time and
No,
energy?
no, I
Working
said
out and
one.
cooking.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But is that one of the advices is to meal prep?
Well, yeah, I mean, I always tell people to like cook their food ahead of time. So cook all of your protein ahead of time when it comes to cooking if you don't have time, because the problem most people have is having enough protein on hand. Carbs and fats like bread or,
Yeah, it's easy to
sugar,
get, and we
easy
want
to get.
it.
Yeah, and it's what you're going to go to when you're hungry. So when you're like super, super busy, your brain needs something with sugar because you haven't eaten in a while, so you grab carbohydrates immediately. But if
Hmm.
you have protein on hand and the one thing I recommend everybody have is an Instapot, because if you're really busy, you probably are a lot like me, you're ADD. So you're busy and you're running around and you're multitasking. So even baking chicken or baking food, sometimes you put it in the oven and you run away. So an Instapot, you can set it and you can run away and literally it'll just cook itself
For
and keep
you.
your meat heated. And if you don't come back for 4 hours, it's not like your house is going to burn down. So an
Right.
Instapot is amazing for cooking large quantity of meat, and then you don't have to worry about the time of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Especially for teachers that, we have to wake up early and we have to have I personally, what I've started doing is having everything ready the day before. Um,
Yes.
so I don't have to like think about it in the morning. It's already done. But again, what if like you're dead exhausted at night and you just forget or don't have it? I like the fact that you said that you do it all at once, and like you can walk away and then you can come back to it later and not be worried, like you said, about burning your house down. So that's
Right.
a
Well,
great
and
tip.
then with an Instapot, you can cook all of your chicken, you
Multiple
can cook all of your beef, and you can actually, people forget about boiling eggs. Boil an entire, um,
12
you know,
carton.
dozen of eggs and
Yeah.
put those in there. So if you're running behind, you can just grab boiled eggs on the way to work.
Right. So the second question I got was, how do I start if I've never done anything? I'm intimidated and lost by
Uh,
even the thought of starting anything like this.
the
So how
best
would,
advice is to get a coach. One of the reasons I say that is because we walk you through everything step by step. But if you're even intimidated to do that, and you're like, I don't even want to get a coach, I always advise people to jump on an app and just become aware of what you're eating. Because most
hmm
people, they typically get on the phone with me and they're like, oh, I eat great. I eat salads. Or I eat wonderful. I eat this. But
right.
they don't realize that typically a salad has the same amount of calories, even protein, carbs, and fats, as a burger.
Wow.
So it's
I
not
didn't know that.
necessary. Yeah, I've literally posted, and sometimes an actual burger, a salad has more protein, carbs, and fats than a burger. And it's not that it's good or bad. One just has more nutrient quality than the other one does.
hmm
And so
Yeah.
become aware of what you're eating actually by putting it into an app. And I use the First Form app, and I'm an advisor on there. So when you become a part of that app, you can actually talk to me and I can walk you through it. So I always tell people, even if you don't want to get a coach, get something to where you can become aware of, this is what I'm doing now, because most people don't have
Yeah, like
any
my fitness
idea.
pal, like that type of, even if you don't get a coach, at least be aware of like what you're eating and if what you're eating
Yes.
has this amount of calories, this amount of fat, whatever. Because you're right, like it's kind of like when, for me, like when you're writing things, you're going through something, and unless you write it down, and then you can kind of reflect on it later, you're not aware, you can't really look at what you're going through unless you write it down and reflect on it later. Because
Right.
life happens, you go through your day and you're like, man, but I ate chicken and rice and I ate a salad. But really, you snacked on this little thing and you don't
Hmm.
remember those things.
No, you never
So
do.
I got taught out of your program how, like everything, even like the butter, even the gum. I wouldn't even think of
Uh-huh.
that as food, but that is carbs
It's
and sometimes
calories.
sugar, depending on which one you're eating, of course.
And drinks count. Most
Yeah, well,
people
drinks I knew.
forget
Yeah.
they forget that the calories, and they forget that some drinks are two servings, not just one.
hmm
And it's amazing what happens when you actually look at the food you're eating and become aware of it. And it's so funny that people are okay to go to the gym and they would never pick up a bar or pick up a dumbbell and not look at the amount of weight it is. But
hmm
then they would be like, of course I'm not gonna pick up a 55-pound dumbbell. I can't do that. But they don't think about that when they do that with food. They don't correlate it that what they put in their body is going to dictate the number between their toes. It's
Yeah.
literally going to change it.
I would say it's probably because it's not taught.
Yeah,
It's not something that's taught to you. As you know, when you're growing up, your parents just give you your food and you eat what you're given. And then you go
right.
to college, let's say not everybody, but you go to college and then you're like, oh, I can eat whatever I want now.
I
You know,
know.
you grow up and no one really taught me how to eat. I was just given the food. Maybe some families, of course, you like cook with your parents,
Hmm.
but you don't buy the food that you cook at home. Your parents buy your food. So that's my theory. At least that's what happened to me. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So
Well,
I think it needs to start at home,
even the
maybe.
aspect of clean your plate, some kids, they don't ever learn what hunger or full is.
Mm,
And so they don't know if they're full or not, so they don't ever stop. Um, and I think it's a very interesting thing where most people have no idea when they're hungry, when they're full, and we all eat emotionally, so we're not really sure if we're eating because we're hungry or not. So if you're not aware of it, and half the time we eat and we're not even aware that we're eating, we're just putting our hands in chip bags.
Guilty, yes.
Yeah, me too.
I have a question since you said something about that. Do you also coach children or just adults?
Just adults currently, but I do have a few of my individual clients that they have asked me to coach their children. So I coach their children through them.
Got
Once
it.
I coach an adult, and
And then
then
they
they've,
teach their kid,
hmm
which is what kind of like what I was trying to imply.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that answers the question, I think.
hmm
So the next question I got was, I've done so many weight loss programs, but none of them work. There's so many out there. How do I know which one's best for me?
Well, it's all individualized, so it just depends. Here's the answer. Every diet works, but it doesn't always work for you because every diet is putting you in a deficit of calories. But I would say 85% of the people that come into the FLA movement are under eating and not losing weight. And so we have to go through what we call a reverse diet, teach them how to eat more, fix their metabolism, and then put them in a deficit, which is
Right.
completely the opposite of what they want to do. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
because
pretty.
most people are doing that. They're looking for a diet and they're jumping from diet to diet to diet. But realistically, we're not supposed to live in a deficit. We're supposed to live at maintenance calories, at higher calories, and we're supposed to actually only diet for like 8 to 16 weeks, maybe a couple times a year, if that.
Right.
But we don't do that. So it
What do you
just
think? What do
depends.
most people do then? They just go between diet and diet.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
most people just find the new one.
the new diet, the new phase, like I was sharing before,
hmm
very common.
And
Yeah,
every single person's different. So some people need a diet that's low in carbs, some people need low in fat. It just depends on the person. Every single person's body composition reacts differently, and it depends on how you work out.
yeah. So like if you were right, if you're a heavy weight lifter, you're probably going to be able have to eat more than someone that just does cardio or
Right.
nor working out at least. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. The next question was this one I is also for me because I have injuries that prevent me from doing workouts. So,
hmm
what would you say to someone that has that issue?
Well, it depends on the workout. So every single person, I always say it depends, which sucks. But when they come to me, typically, like I say, we always start with nutrition. So once we get your nutrition in a position where we have that and you're good, then we'll see what you can do movement wise. Because sometimes people that are injured, they're they feel better once they have weight off of their injured like part. Like some of my clients, they had like a back injury, but once they lost weight, their back didn't hurt as bad,
Which makes sense because less weight on the back.
or they
Yeah,
had a knee injury and
I
they
see what you
couldn't
mean.
do something. And then once we got their weight off of them, they could do so much more with their knee. So we started off slow with just walking, which is just moving and burning a little bit more calories. Or if it was a knee injury, well, your upper body's fine. We started with building muscle on their upper body, doing weights or band workouts with their upper body because the more muscle mass you have, the more you're going to burn calories sitting still. And if your shoulder caps are wider, your waist looks smaller. So each person's different, but if it's a knee injury, you can still do upper body workouts, but then have you walk or do something slow. Or if you're okay with biking and just sitting, I would do something like that. So each person, I would just advise them separately and differently depending on what they time-wise have and then also what their body can do and what
Hmm.
they like. Because if they don't like it, they're not going to do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, the other one I got was, do you think meal plans are good? And if you do, which one?
I don't like meal plans
Okay, so why don't you like meal plans?
because nobody does them.
Yeah, what do you
They,
mean by that?
Everybody wants one, but nobody follows them. They get super excited. It's like a shiny object. They're like, I'm going to do this meal plan. And then
Hmm.
nobody eats the same thing every day.
You mean like I know I mean like the ones that you buy that they bring
Oh,
it to your house.
the
That
meal delivery systems?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so I used to sell those for a while. I actually sold those in CrossFit gyms. I did that as a business before I was like full-time nutrition coach. And I don't have a specific one that I like, but I love them for busy people. Because you can order like 10 meals and have them shipped to your house, and they're amazing. I worked for 3 or 4 different ones out of Florida, and they were all good. My advice is order 10 meals, and then typically the because I've worked for 4 of them, and I actually was pretty involved in a lot of the different companies. Typically the menu rotates and you get bored with those meals.
That's my problem with them. I get
So,
bored, and then at first it's like yeah, and then after a while I'm like I don't want to eat this again. I'm bored,
mm-mm.
which is
So,
probably what you meant by the meal plans as well. That you get bored
yes.
of it. Hmm.
Well, by the meal plan, I meant eating like the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. Most people, they just get bored with it. But the meal delivery systems, if what I always tell people to do is have a different companies. So order 10 from one company one week, and then the next week order 10 from a different company.
Hmm.
So rotate the companies because their flavors are profiles are the same. It's like eating the box company, like the what's it called? Those box meals that you used to get, and you just add them to beef.
Lunchables.
Like, yeah, well, Lunchables, and then the box. Shoot, I can't think of it. They're box meals, and you add them. They're like powder, and you add them to beef.
Oh
Um,
yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
they're like
but they
noodles. The
all taste
noodles.
the same. But eventually, you're like, I can't eat any more of these. But they're supposed to taste different, but they don't. Um, But that's what I tell people. I'm like, just get a bunch and then order from different companies because the different companies taste different. They have completely
Mm.
different, but it helps with the busyness.
But what if that's not in the budget? Oh, lean cuisine. Someone said lean cuisine.
Oh, I've actually had some clients that they get the veggie lean cuisine and then add protein to it. I make it in um, the Instapot, and then they'll get veggie lean cuisine, so they never have to make their veggies, and then throw their meat on top of it, which is actually really smart.
Um, but I forgot what I was saying
Oh, you
before.
were saying the what if it's not in the budget? If
Yeah, because
it's
I mean, like, I can't maybe like teachers. We can't afford
yeah.
like 5 different like services. So how
No,
would that work?
honestly, I think the cheaper than that because it's like usually $7 to $10 a meal, which is not cheap. The best way to meal prep is on Sunday to make all of your meat in a Ninja like Instapot, and
Hmm.
then have protein. Just divide your protein up, and
Like
then
weighing it.
buy. Yeah, like weigh it and have it, and then change your vegetables and sauces. You're basically doing what they're
But you
doing.
no, I'm talking about the service that we were
Hmm.
talking about. So you were saying to change the service, like I have this one, I buy 10 from them and then 10 from another place. Isn't that what
Correct.
you said? So
Yes.
I'm talking about the budget wise for that.
If you
How
don't
would
have the budget,
to
do it
do
at
it to
home.
meal prep. Got it.
Do meal prep at home because it'll be cheaper. Go to Costco and buy like a frozen bag of chicken and just make 5 breasts of chicken and then put them in a thing, and then literally buy Paleo Kitchen sauces and buy 5 different sauces, and then buy vegetables and then put them on top of it and change the sauce because that's
Oh,
literally what they're giving you
genius.
anyway.
Yeah. Right. So, a tip that you've been, and something that you've been saying since day one is protein, protein, protein.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that if you're like not going to eat anything, just protein. So you
Hmm.
said the trick, a tip was the whole boil the eggs or whatever. What about people that have, obviously, again, you have to talk to the client and whatever if they have allergies or they're vegan. But that I have a lot of vegan people. So
Hmm.
how would you do that with vegan?
Their protein numbers are just lower. They just
It's just,
can't.
yeah,
They just
they
can't.
won't be able to.
Yeah, they're lower. And then their vegetable protein they have to focus on complete proteins with vegetables. So we just Google, and you literally can Google that and look up what is a complete protein with vegetables, like
Mhm.
rice and beans is a complete protein with vegetables. So
Mhm.
that way they get all of the 9 essential amino acids when they eat the vegetables.
Mm. Okay.
And that's it. But
As
it's
a
harder
coach,
to do.
yeah, I'm sure. As a coach, what is the biggest um hard not the biggest, what is the hardest thing that you find people deal with when they're starting?
Usually it's hitting their protein numbers or simply just logging food in general is a difficult task at the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, because most of the people I work with are really busy and they are typically all about everybody else. They're busy moms, they're busy parents, they're busy entrepreneurs, they're taking care of everybody else but themselves, and to stop and to take care of themselves is something that's foreign.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they don't know what to do. If their kid is in crisis and needs food, they will not feed themselves. So
Right. That's me in my classroom. Like, I'm like so in my class with my kids that I'm like, oh yeah, snack, right? Like, or water. That's for me. I drink water, but when I'm this whole summer, I've been so good with water. And then now when I'm back in the class, it's been kind of a struggle because even with the alarm, it's like, oh yeah, alarm. But right now I can't. I'm in the middle of teaching a lesson.
right.
So, water intake has been hard for me. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, like
So,
reteaching people the whole airport analogy of put your mask on first before you even put it on your child, because
oh
these
yes.
these women have, and men, they have no energy, their health is going bad, they're overweight, they're starting to get sick, they're not going to have the longevity with their kids. I'm like, you're literally giving everything to your kids, and by the time you're able to enjoy this child that you're loving, you're not going to be here because you're
Hmm.
not loving yourself first. And so it's like these tiny little moments of like pause and put your numbers in this app so that we can change your life. If you develop this one habit, I promise you, I will be able to give you freedom. Discipline equals freedom, but it's something that it has to become habitual, and to develop these new habits in the chaos is hard. So we have to develop one habit at a time.
Yeah. I think like my biggest advice is just starting. Like once you just commit and put your head, I mean, my thing is I commit and then when as time goes by, I it's not like my number one commitment anymore. It's not the new thing that I'm doing.
Right,
So for me, it's committing long term, not in the first month.
right.
So, for sure, my advice to people is just start because when you start and the coach to hold you accountable is my biggest advice for anybody because community really helps. And when I mean by community, I mean the coach as well because if you don't have someone there to like say like, hey, what's going on like this, kind of like Weight Watchers, right? Like how people used to do Weight
Yeah.
Watchers, but instead of the Weight Watchers, you have like a community of people and your coach holding you accountable is like the number one thing that I think has me going progressing and doing well
Yeah,
as far as that.
absolutely. That's
Mm.
why I developed the tribe the way that I did. It's why I developed the company the way that I did, because anytime I've ever changed myself, it's because I had a coach and I had a community of people that were helping me move forward. And so I
Mm-hmm.
wanted that to be part of what we do, because I realized most people don't have other people helping them move forward. They just
Yeah.
don't. Everybody, most parents and busy people, teachers, they don't have anybody encouraging them. They're the encourager. They're the ones that are holding everything together and doing all the juggling.
Mm-hmm.
They need a support system, and that's what we serve as. We're like the ones in their pocket going, it's going to be okay. Love yourself enough to show up for you so that you can give to the rest of these people. And
Right.
that's what I love about it, because we're like the quiet little birdie on their ear telling them and reminding them, drink your water, eat your food, so that you can show up in your own life.
Yeah.
so that you don't pass
So,
out.
so let's say someone saw this and they're like inspired and interested and they want to contact. What would be the first steps, or like how would they be able to contact you if they do want this service?
On my Instagram, you can go link in bio and schedule a call directly with me, or flamovement.com. You can
We could put
schedule
that in the link at the end in the
you
chat.
you can schedule a call directly with me. That's also in my link in the bio. You can reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'm a real person. You can talk to me anywhere. I'm everywhere all the time. But yeah, flamovement.com, or on my Instagram, you can talk to me directly.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's all the questions I got from the Instagram fam. If
Perfect.
you have anything else you want to say before closing,
Just want to say thank you. And
yeah,
thank you for showing up long term and for
yes,
committing and just continuing to show up.
yeah. I mean, of course, there's little hiccups in the road, but that's life.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I got a lot out of your program is being okay with it. Like I would make myself really wrong when I would just like, ugh, like I don't even want to talk to my coach because I already know it's not a good week for me. But
Uh-huh.
I accepted it and I kept going. So I realized that if in the past, if that would happen, I would just kind of give up, and
Yeah.
then like I would just go on doing the same things I would always do. So I'm really grateful for having a coach
I
because,
love that.
hmm
Yeah, and
because
Brittany is her coach.
yes.
Yeah, and I love that you've learned that, because perfection truly is a lie. It's not going to happen. You have to like just keep
Oh, and
growing.
the bad and the good one too. There's no bad food or good food. I'd
Oh
be like, oh,
yeah.
I ate this. That's not good for me. And it's like, nope, just more nutrition or bad. So again, the vocabulary, like changing my mindset about vocabulary was also helpful.
We definitely work a lot on recalibrating that. There is no bad or good food. It's just either higher quality or less quality. It's just
Hmm.
either food or it isn't, usually.
Hmm. Right.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you for showing up and
Yeah,
helping everybody out. And again, if you want to reach out, we're going to put her information on the link, or you can even reach out to me and I'll connect you guys as well.
perfect. Thank you so much for
Alrighty.
your time.
Yeah, have a good night, everybody.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye, dear.
Yeah, bye.